Everyone, welcome back to Play Casket with another episode of Your Turn. And we're kind of coming back after a week of catching the plague. Like the actual plague, not the one that didn't exist. So we're going to stay with that.
Halloween was insane.
I know, right? Dude, Day of Dead and everything, that just... I didn't realize that many things can happen all at once.
We lived it.
And undead women don't say no. Ugh. Anyway, a couple things happened this last week. Nothing too special, but some stuff that's worth interesting. Do you want to start off with anything, or do you want me to go ahead and take the lead?
Sure. So Call of Duty has been released recently. It was just a...
Call of Duty released. Shocking everyone.
Yeah, right. I was so excited for this. I didn't even see it coming. No.
It was like a shadow drop, you know. It was really wild.
Yeah, it's this small dumb game that nobody knows about.
Some indie developer named Activision or some bullshit.
But the physical releases are like the discs are what 7 megs.
Yeah, they're 7 megabytes. They are practically NFTs.
Yeah.
You put the disc in that says, please download game, and then you download a 40 gigabyte fucking game.
That's such hell, though.
That is the absolute premium reason why you should not support AAA developers. That is why digital should not ever be as enticing as it is. Because think about it. If you bought a PS5 right now, right, and you like Modern Warfare 2 on it, and if it's a good game, and you bought it physical, PS6 comes around, Activision chooses to kill it off the availability of Modern Warfare 2 on the PS5. You have no way to get it unless it's already downloaded. You don't have any other access. None. Yeah. You have a physical game that is not physical. Like... doing this,
so when the PS7 rolls around,
it's not even Activision can just say we no longer support this game on this area and just kill it off entirely.
Yeah,
thus rendering every single physical version of that game completely null and void. It's not. It's a stupid NFT. It is the dumbest shit I have seen any company ever do.
Yeah.
It is like, it's basically saying, here's this card, but when I feel like or this book, but if I feel like ever taking that book, I will take it from you, regardless of whether or not you're in the middle of it or not.
But it's still your book, right?
But it's still your book. You get to own it for as long as I think you should read it.
Yeah.
It is horseshit. This is the type of crap. And if you think, oh, well, you know, just play enough of it and then that way it won't work. The fact that I bought it physical means that I would want it to be played whenever I want to play it. If I want to play it 20 years from now, I should be able to play it. That is the point. And they got away with it with Crash Bandicoot. They got away with it with the Spyro Reignited trilogy. They got away with it with... I'm talking about Activision.
Oh, okay, yeah, Spyro, yeah. I was thinking about Spyro.
Yeah, so they got away with it a couple of times because people just really wanted that Spyro game. It just really... It's going to get to a point where we're so... no, it's just another Activision thing. But then you no longer have like half of your games because they decided to make an announcement that all games on the PS5 they will no longer support because they want to focus on the PS6. Or the PS4 for that matter, because they did it to the PS4 already. So, literally, right now, if Activision turned around and re-released Spyro Reignited Trilogy Super HD Remaster, or whatever bullcrap they want to call it, they can just say, we no longer support the PS4 version of this game. You can still play it as long as it's downloaded.
Yeah.
So... for instance, you just pray to God that if you're playing Spyro, you can say that, just pray that a squirrel won't eat your transformer and destroy the data.
Yeah.
Just pray. because it could just be as menial as that. It's like something out, like people are just like, well, just always have backups.
Well, we
Some
know they
stuff
kill.
you don't.
We know they kill support all the freaking time.
Yeah.
Like,
They do, and that's the problem that we have right now.
yeah.
And when you have shit like that, it just becomes more and more of a problem, and people are just becoming more and more okay with it because they keep trying to think about the way of like, I'd rather just be able to play this game than not ever play this game. Would you rather? Because they think of it as an ultimate zero-sum game. They just, like, all the people who are these normie consumers are like, well, I'd rather be able to play it than not play it at all. No.
We deserve what we tolerate.
No. We will not fucking tolerate this. I'd rather not play Spyro Reignited Trilogy. I'd rather Activision lose money on a new Spyro game if they're going to pull this crap with me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. I'd rather yeehaw high seas that motherfucker later than ever give them money if it's going to do this physical bullcrap bullshit. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, people are getting
I will
smarter,
stream
so.
it. I will purposely high seas it. I will stream me high seasing it. And I will take it. And I will play it. And I will tag Activision in it every time I do.
Oh, and don't forget, the game's also $70.
Yeah. And $70.
And Paraka loses his mind. Paraka! Are you good? Are you good? Are you good?
Maybe. I think I just broke stuff.
It's only COD. You don't have to buy it. It's okay.
But it exists, and I don't like that. How dare it exist?
Welcome to the AAA industry.
All right. Time to change subjects.
Speaking of AAA, PlayStation VR, right?
Oh, my God. More breaking shit.
Well, I don't know. I've been really interested in VR too, so... But, I mean, Sony revealed it won't be ready till February of 2023. So, but $600 in 4K. I don't know. Vibes.
I press X to doubt. No, I think okay. So I think I still think it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, no, this is the official announcement.
Yeah, no,
like,
I
sure
think it's. I don't think it's going to get delayed again.
Mm-hmm.
I press X to doubt on the success of it.
Mm-hmm.
Not because it's like Sony or there's a couple other reasons why I think VR will have an issue, but I was actually in contact with a couple people who are deeply into the Meta brand and the Oculus.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that a lot of developers, the reason why there isn't that many games on the Oculus is because the level of necessity that you need to keep VR consistent is not what many developers... We let developers get very laxed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's ultimately what I'm saying here. Because at one point in time, it didn't matter how low your RAM or whatever crap was, you ran at a locked 30 or a locked 60 and there was no fucking problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The Oculus has a standard locked consistent 75 hertz, period. You cannot have that flux. You cannot have that bend. You cannot have any forgiveness to it because you are currently basically putting this giant goggles on and stuff, and they've made tests that when it slows and does sluggish things and stuff, it messes with you far more and causes a lot more problems when you're dealing with a VR environment instead of just something that's having on TV that's being a little sluggish.
Oh, okay.
And so they have a lot of very high expectations, and that's why a lot of developers aren't actually developing that much. In fact, the last HD port of the Resident Evil 4 had to go even higher just to be on the Oculus and other VR. Mm-hmm. So the reason why I think VR is going to suck is because I don't think Sony is going to try to uphold that same level of desire. Mm-hmm. And the people who are going to make it are just going to make it, and they're just going to throw things together and try to sell it because, oh, look, it's Diablo in VR and all that. And it's going to just turn progressively worse to a point of memery.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest barrier to entry is the price point, because now it's a $1,000 console.
Ultimately, yeah.
And then on top of that too, like, can somebody bring out good games for it? The issue is that most of them are just very gimmicky.
It's gimmicky
because they're trying to show off the tech.
It's gimmicky. Not like, it's the proof of concept. This is an idea that you can have fully fleshed out, but like any like solid like game developer can look at that proof of concept and like, how are you supposed to flesh that out?
Yeah,
you know, and it's not even like it's not even a bad thing per se. Mm-hmm. It's just that there's no way to really flesh that out to make that a full experience.
Yeah,
you know, it's kind of like saying, here's a game where you become a 3D platformer in VR. Mm-hmm. But it really is just a goalpost thing that Mario's already done. But how are you supposed to make that? How are you supposed to make that into a full experience?
Yeah,
you know, like, is there enemies coming at you? Does that function differently? Like, what do you need to have that? And I think a lot of that's going to happen, and people are just going to throw these proof of concepts out. Like, look at this. It makes you like involved in like a Gears of War game. And it's like, then it like slows down to a crawl because there's too many people on the thing, and it's gonna just make you nauseated.
It just becomes a rail shooter in the end.
Vomit inside your helmet.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be bad, and I think Sony not upholding that level of strict regimen too, because I don't think Sony's going to, is going to make it look a lot worse, because then people are gonna be like, man, VR gives me a headache, and they're gonna just associate it with it just being VR. Oh, VR gives me a headache. VR makes me sick. VR is just disgusting. Blah blah blah. And it's gonna travel, and then people go, oh, I guess we're not ready for VR tech, and the VR is just gonna poof gone.
Well, the thing is, like, can they sell it? Because look at the Vita too, because they abandoned the port thing, and like Nintendo pushed extremely hard at selling the 3DS because they're like, look, you guys want this, while Sony's just kind of like, oh, who wants to develop for this? Well, that's kind of the issue.
The other problem with the Vita too was that several developers who were on board were on board because the end game was to sell you the same game twice.
Well, that's what Sony was trying to push. But at the same time,
like, if you looked, a lot of the major developers were like, we want to sell you Call of Duty twice. I love this idea. EA did the same thing.
Well,
then when people caught on real quick, they just abandoned it straight out until you had some of the small companies that were like Sony loyalists up until the Switch were like, we gotta port it. We can't make money here. We gotta port it. We gotta get some kind of money, and they port to the Switch, like Falcom and Nippon Ichi Software and stuff. They finally ported stuff, and they're like, whoa, Nintendo likes this stuff? And now, like, even Falcom has an internal Switch development team because of that. That's how bad Sony has like spurned their niche market.
So the issue is that will they support it? That's the biggest. Yeah. That's the biggest issue is once they sell you the VR, they'll just be like, oh well, it'll be just a movie playing device, and like you'll have like 5 games and that's it.
Yeah, and the thing is like that's their ultimate goal, is to sell you the piece of product that they just made. They don't care about anything beyond that. They want to pitch that, and they're hoping that other companies will just develop for it so they can just walk away.
Yeah. And
just focus on another major project that can just make them some money. That's the whole thing. They did that whole thing with TVs too.
Yeah.
They found ways to just make the piece just sell, and then they're like, we'll allow the other people to make apps for my smart TV. We're not going to work with it. And then, like, even YouTube, for a couple of the early age, like, just because the system was archaic, they're like, our app keeps busting on your system. They're like, oh, well, work around it, you know? And that's it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to happen with VR. And because Sony's the one that's pushing VR first, you know, outside the Oculus, it's not gonna work out. It's going to essentially get associated that everything bad that happens with Sony VR is just because it's VR. And I think that's what's going to actually end what VR is for video gaming.
Ever since after Meta 2 kind of crashed.
Yeah, and Meta kind of crashed too, because like It's meta.
Yeah.
It's Facebook.
Well, it's gonna bleed to death, but at the same time, I don't know. They're just gonna write it off. But the problem with Meta too, though, is that it's just big corporate brand stuff. Like they don't try to make it fun. It's kind of like there's Walmart land, there's Target land, there's Facebook land. Like make it so fun that when you show up, you're just kind of like, oh, this is sponsored by Walmart. That's kind of cool. But it's just kind of like, oh, you get to play with.
No, it's propagandist. They need it. They need the propaganda, so that's all you think about. Like, man, it's nothing but Walmart land. It's Walmart. And eventually, you just end up at a Walmart.
Yeah.
Walmart doesn't give a fuck, but as long as you end up there, they don't care if you hate them.
Yeah.
As long as you end up there.
And that's where they slip, so... Yeah, Meta's on fire. And the funny thing, too, the funniest thing is... I guess most of the gamers that did show up actually really wanted to play and just like bullshit, and then they're like, oh, we're being harassed by men, so they banned a bunch of men from like joining any of the meta spaces. So it's just like
a sea of catty women.
Yeah, and like nobody in there,
women,
nobody in there because they're forcing their coworkers to like promote it, but nobody wants to show up.
Nobody does. No.
And like it's free, but at the same time, like that's a $500 pair headset. I don't want to play with somebody playing empty.
Well, on top of that, no, you don't want to go somewhere and then like you're just kicking the shit with a friend, and then somebody somewhere thought that wasn't funny and wants you completely removed from your entire like your all the energy you put into it. You know, like the way you can kill somebody for any MMO is completely delete their account.
Mm-hmm.
They will not go back to any MMO at all. You know, delete their account, delete their favorite character or something to that point, and then they will
never come back to any
MMO.
Oh wow!
Like because it's all the energy, and then like when you take that away, they go, all of it's gone. It could just be gone like that.
Yeah.
Like just the same thing with the VR. Like all the effort you put in to make friends and stuff, and then you just bet you're not allowed to talk to them anymore. Like why the fuck should I even try?
Yeah.
You know, so they're not going to try. And that's, again, tied to VR. And it's not even like VR as a mechanic isn't even like the problem. You know, as I said, like at least Facebook has strict regimens that you have to maintain this. But it's still meta. Let's be real.
Yeah.
You know? But Sony's not going to. And it's only going to make things worse. It's going to paint VR way worse. So, that's my prediction. Because people are stupid and companies are lazy.
Well, hopefully PSVR 2, they'll give it a... what is it? Like the first one, you're just allowed to... It's like 1080p resolution, but you can use it on your PC, so...
Well, Sony VR 1 didn't really do very well either.
I know. Well, the thing is,
it like shot up like a flash in the pan, and then it just kind of like.
Well, it was cheaper.
Out.
It was cheaper than anything on the market, and it was compatible with Steam's stuff too. So
okay.
Yeah,
and this isn't going to be. This is going to be more exclusive to the PS5/4 or wherever.
I don't know yet. So we'll see what they do with the PSVR 2. So.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my prediction though. Just because I don't trust either side to be smart.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
But I mean, limited software that you're gonna have to crank out so much software for this thing to make people want to buy it. But if you're just buying a $500 monitor that you wear on your face, I'll pass until
it becomes like 50.
Yeah, until something shows up. So
yeah, and I agree. Like same thing with the whole damn system too. But let's spin around and make have some kind of fun. Let's talk about good news.
Okay.
Mega Man 11 has now officially sold 1.6 million copies and has finally eclipsed the number one selling Mega Man game, Mega Man 2, that only sold 1.56 million copies.
Good news.
It means
that's only 1 million copies. That's not good at all. Right?
it means it's the number one selling Mega Man in the franchise. You know what that means? Not a damn thing. They're not making Mega Man 12.
I know what? You guys like Resident Evil 10. Right
Did you say another port of 4? We'll port it. We'll port it to the Atari Jaguar. We'll backport it now. It's on the 64 now. But yeah, no. So honestly, I didn't really think. I thought Mega Man sold more by nature. I'm gonna be honest. Like I like. Okay, so Mega Man 2 was on the regular Nintendo. Okay. That was the number 1 selling one, which baffles me because Mega Man 8 exists on the PlayStation that had way more units sold at the time when Mega Man 8 came out, and nobody bought that shit?
Yeah.
Like, so you're telling me that 2 was like, people were like, yeah, Magnet Man, love it. But then, like, Clown Man, they're like, no, we don't want that at all. And then Mega Man 8 and 9 and 10 came out, like that was kind of like a weird retro thing on the Wii, and it still didn't sell very well. It wasn't until bargain bin at Best Buy when it became 20 bucks where people were like, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and get this for little Timmy, let's see how that works out. Like, really? That's how long it took?
Yep.
And well, the problem is I like 11. 11 was actually really good. 8 was crap in comparison. Okay? 8 was garbage in comparison.
What was the ones on the PS1?
9 and 10 were good.
What's one on PS1?
8.
Okay. Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, 7. I think it was 7 and 8. Yeah.
They're the ones I remember the most.
Yeah. And you would think that they came out right when it was like the heyday of the PlayStation. You'd think that they would be like, they just naturally sell more because of that. You'd think, but they didn't. They didn't outsell the second one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly, right?
They should have given it to Nintendo then.
You know, like, what the hell?
At least they could push it, because, like, look at Bayonetta.
Like, so, yeah, but that was a different era, too. You gotta think about that, too.
Well, the thing is, like, nobody gave a shit about Bayonetta. Or we'll talk about this later. But
yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment. But I think it's funny because, like, you'd think... Like, and I'm not even like a Sony fan or anything. I'm not like, I'm glad it only sold on, like, you know, in the times when Nintendo can get a hold of it. But just in fundamentals, like, the numbers just didn't add up.
Yeah, that's so weird. Well, maybe they just hit like 900K and they're just like, come on, like each series only
trying to hit that threshold.
Almost hitting 1 million. Yeah, I don't know, because they keep making them. So
yeah, they kept making them. Well, they kept making them up to 8, and then they just disappeared for nearly 15 years.
Yeah.
Then 9 and 10 came out as a retro, like, throwback in, like, the regular Nintendo era, like, style, and added the very first woman Robot Master, and people were, like, blowing up about it. The game was wildly popular. The game was actually really good. Like, both of them were really good. And that still didn't sell 1 million on the fucking Wii? On the Wii, where you didn't have anything but party games and Mega Man 9 and 10.
Well, do you think if Capcom actually came out and told us the serious numbers of how well things are selling, maybe it would chart better, or maybe
I don't know. It really depends, because people tend to doom and gloom and overreact based on, like, reviews and stuff. You give a game a 7, they're like, dude, that game's bad.
Oh, yeah,
even though it's like 7 just means it's good. It's not the greatest thing out there. It's good. You can find entertainment in it.
Yeah.
But, like, when you get a 7, people are like, oh, a 7. Oh, you might as well just be eating dog shit. Like, that's how they... So, when you look at numbers, too, all right? So
they should just do thumbs up or thumbs down now. Like, it's so arbitrary.
Yeah.
Like,
it's ridiculous, you know? And how do you really gauge it? You know, how do you gauge a number?
Yeah.
You know? But it's just so weird.
It'd be a 10 out of 10, but the dog died, so
yeah, the dog.
It's a 5
You can't
now.
pet the dog, so it's really an 8.
Now. Yeah,
you know, it's
a 5 now.
So it's like weird because you put so much importance on stuff that's negligible, innocuous.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean anything. But then you put, like, too much faith in what, like, oh my god, this sound, mwah, it's so good, 10 out of 10. But, like, it's like the same 3 songs on loop all the time.
Yeah.
And then, like, one of the hit detections is like, ooh, I'm like, oh, did I get it? Ooh, what was that? You know, like, it's weird and all that. But yeah, you would think just the number. I don't know. It blows my mind. But what do you think? Do you think Capcom announcing this and making this a thing, like a PR announcement, do you think that they might have plans for something new?
Yeah, I think so. Mostly because they saw how good Mighty Number 9 did. So.
Oh yeah, so good. Can't wait for Mighty Number 9 too.
Well, they didn't do anything until Mighty Number 9 had like a really good backing, and then Capcom was like, no, wait, we got a Mega Man coming too. Yeah.
Well, I think now that Mega Man, no, Mighty Number 9 isn't even like a concern anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think just Capcom announcing this, like making an announcement about it and stuff, because they're the ones that made an announcement. It's been 3 years since they released 11, and they finally made an announcement that Life Sales made Mega Man 11 the number one selling thing, which was good. This is good PR. But do you think that them announcing it, meaning like they might have something in their back pocket to make a new Mega Man game, or an even X game?
I think so.
I personally hope so.
Mobile game.
Mobile gotcha?
Yeah, they don't give a shit. They're not listening, right?
They're not listening. Imagine the one Capcom exec is like, what? 53 views on this thumbnail? What's this about? And then gets so butthurt that a goblin and a ghost is just completely crapping on his mobile game idea. It's like, I hate this person. How dare him and his 40 followers ever have an issue with me?
I know, they're just like looking at the they're just looking at the like they're looking at our video and they're just like erasing the dry erase board.
Yeah. They're like, no, we didn't have that idea at all. And just fucking and it's like one of the heads, and they just like take what we said so very seriously. Like everybody else like, no, our reach is garbage in comparison to other people. There is a VTuber that came out a month after us, and she's already at 10K because apparently cutesy, lopey, bunny nonsense with squeaky voices get the fucking views. That means I have to become a VTuber, guys. You ready to see this giant green nutsack of a head of mine?
Just become woman.
Just become woman. I'll wear lipstick. But I hope for a 12. I don't hope for anything changes. Like, honestly, I will settle for a Mega Man 12 with the same mechanics as 11.
Well, I don't know. The issue is that maybe Capcom would just give a damn and tell people, like, it's a hard sell. The issue is that, like, I don't know what it is. It's just you gotta tell them they want to play this.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain it, because Metroid did really, really freaking well too, and that's a site that's done by a Western company.
Metroid had trouble getting to where Metroid is now. Okay, even Nintendo didn't have any faith in it in the 64 era. Like, Nintendo didn't even have that much faith in it during the GameCube when it was first announced as Metroid Prime, and it wasn't until they reinvested and they bought up Retro Studios, where they're like, you know what, just focus on our IP, and that is it, because it's their IP. You know, it makes sense. They don't want them to make something new, and because of that, you know, they just focused on that, and it became one of the biggest selling parts of the Metroid franchise, to my chagrin. But
what was the most recent one? It did
Dread.
Dread did really well, though.
Yeah, Dread did really well.
So,
but it wasn't it took a while for it to get there. It wasn't until the controversy of Monster Hunter jumping ship from Sony to Nintendo for Tri that didn't put Monster Hunter on the map in the West.
Yeah.
Like, it took them forever to get to that point. And it wasn't until that controversy that more North American and Western gamers were like, let's give this a try.
Yeah.
And it finally started steamrolling to what it is now.
But I heard
it was wildly popular in Japan before that.
Well, because Sony was being a pain in the ass when 3 came out, which not try, but 3. They had something to do with the Wi-Fi and it coming on. Because Sony was like, no, we don't want ad hoc anymore. We want Wi-Fi play. And Capcom was like, no, screw you guys. Like, then we just won't release it then. So they went to Nintendo to do try. It was something like that.
Yeah, something to that point. There was the story changes every time, but it's roughly what that happened. Like roughly something Sony demanded from Capcom did not approve. Capcom jumped ship.
Yeah,
basically, that's ultimately what it was.
I mean, if anything, just give it to Nintendo because at the very least, they'll push your damn game.
Well, for the most part, it's really kind of like a it's really kind of like a zero-sum game for them. Like you either get a lot of push or you don't get anything at all.
Yeah,
it's like because Wonderful 101 didn't get any push from Nintendo.
Oh, okay.
To a point where they own the IP, but they sold it back to Platinum because Platinum wanted it better, and Nintendo, not Sony, just didn't see a future with it, which is dumb because I think if they did push it, they would have it would not been a huge series, but I think it would have been a good enough series that would like kind of fill in voids every now and again, like Advance Wars usually does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like something that's like popular enough, but it's never going to be one of those flagship titles. And speaking of Wonderful 101 and Platinum, let's go on to the other thing. Bayonetta again, because we just can't get enough of this drama.
What a shit show! Although it does look really cool, I gotta play it.
I didn't get to finish 2. I just immediately spoiled myself by starting 3. That was dumb.
I should finish 2.
You should. Okay. Anybody who loves Bayonetta, play Bayonetta 2 before you start 3 because 3 really does spoil the ending of 2.
Oh, okay.
Let's just say that. But God, what? I can't even like mention any of the story. You guys,
It's just so good. Right?
no, there's a way that Kamiya written as to why the voice changes, like canon in game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm like, that's fucking sneaky. Like, that's ridiculous, dude.
Well,
that's
there
ridiculous.
You go. Right.
So,
hey, Don Cheadle changed, and they didn't say anything about that.
I apologize about all the coughing, but no, this time isn't even. I know the plague really got us, bro. We're still recovering. But no, this isn't even about the voice actors anymore. This is about the review bombing. And for the stupidest reasons you can possibly imagine, because Twitter exists, and Twitter is a living, thinking shit show.
Well, the thing is, maybe if you played the first 2 games, you wouldn't have been blindsided by this.
Oh no, this isn't even about that. It's not even about that. It's about basically the whole shebang of what Bayonetta is. So we've already heard quite a few people who think now it's no longer the male gaze that they're worried about with Bayonetta and the like overtly sexual mannerisms that Bayonetta has. Mm-hmm. They now believe that the gaze belongs to the bisexual and lesbian people. That straight people should not even be thinking that she's sexy.
Man, it's been a slow day,
right? Right? Like this is journalism right here 101. But so a part of the game, they now think that she is a lesbian, so therefore, or a bisexual, and therefore everything she acts is to amuse and lure those groups of people in. And that's for them. It's a representation for them. Till they find out in any part of the story, she never once commits to that type of bit. And because of that, several journalists decide to review bomb it because she doesn't come out as a confirmation of the LGBTQ alphabet mafia. Like, she doesn't, since she doesn't even put it to rest. She's not even like, it doesn't even be announced that she's straight. It's just that she doesn't get confirmation. So validation for you woke lords out there. Enough. It's never enough. So because they didn't get that validation, they decided to review bomb it. Like, everyone's trying to review bomb it, trying to sink the sales as much as possible to punish them for not obeying the woke lords, for having more validation for literally no reason whatsoever, because they're vapid and they're hollow and they have no future. That's what I have to say about that.
You only get the opposite effect. Now people will buy more. It's the best-selling Bayonetta game in the series right now.
Yeah, so that's another thing I wanted to say. So some people are trash talking that it didn't sell as much as the second, and in Japan it didn't, like maybe a couple thousand, which ultimately, yeah, it sold a bit more, but it does tell me another thing. It sold a bit more with 10 times more market availability, with the Switch being sold so much more than the Wii U, right? That just tells me that the capacity for the action game is reaching its peak performance. Okay, and meaning that like Nintendo's action the action fans, the action game market is already secured. So that's and that tells you why a lot like Sega didn't want to invest so much into it, because Sega saw that same level and was like, we're not going to invest this in it again. We don't get that much money from it. You know, Nintendo is.
Yeah.
Of course Nintendo is, because Nintendo knows how to market, right? And Bayonetta's tied to Smash Brothers, and for some reason games just sell better because of it. Yeah. And that's another thing we're going to probably go into in a little bit. But basically, Bayonetta is basically reaching peak performance. Like that's all there is to it. It's not gonna. I can't say that Bayonetta would ever reach a flagship type title. I do think it'll still slowly grow. I still think it'll still slowly grow. But I think because the type of game it is, it's very punishing for just mashing buttons. Yeah. You know, that's what an action game is. And not all games should be like, not all games should be forgiving. And this is one of those games. And it should stay that way. Period. Right? That being said, I still think a game like Astral Chain is a lot more forgiving. And because it's a lot more forgiving, I think Astral Chain can actually eclipse Bayonetta if Nintendo so wishes to invest in it. Oh, okay. I think Astral Chain is a lot more wider of a market, because not only do you have the adventure part of it, you have the action part of it, but you have kind of like the weird collectible mentality of it. So you want to see if you can unlock a lot of the like weird archons and stuff. Who knows what else you can do with that? So
they want flexibility in the playability of it, basically. Okay, like because I can see like why Breath of the Wild did so freaking well is because there's more than just action. You're exploring, and all those crazy like
there's puzzles in there,
all that crazy movement that people discovered recently, and stuff. And speedrunning. Okay,
and when you have something that's very tight and precise as an action game, like Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, the older God of Wars and stuff, you don't reach into the same market. That is the only market you get. Period. Okay. And it's like Dark Souls. Dark Souls can only acquire a certain amount of people, but there's a level of different types of people. There's people digging into lore. There's people there's more to that market, even though Dark Souls is more punishing. There's still other people that could get into that market and go, this is the lore behind the stories. And then there's fashion souls. So there's people who go into it for fashion and stuff. So you have a much broader market. Oh, okay. Bayonetta does not have any of that. The story is immediately told to you, to your face. Gotcha. You cannot just customize your Bayonetta. She has unique styles and stuff like that have unique abilities, but she does not have anything that gives you that flexibility. Oh, okay. Whereas Astral Chain even has like outfits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like even
I still gotta play that game, by the way.
It's a solid game. Okay. I think there's a lot more room for improvement, but because of the way that game is, I think it can really do easily eclipse Bayonetta. Okay. And it could probably be like it literally feels like Nintendo's flair on a Bayonetta. Okay. It feels like there's a story out there that Nintendo wanted to buy Bayonetta, Sega said no, and because they are good friends with Platinum, Nintendo's like, can you make us an action game? And he's like, all right, well, here's this. He goes, I like that, but can you make it more friendly? What do you mean? You know, give people a sense to be able to explore the world. Like, it's not going to be by no means an epic like Xenoblade, but you're allowed to explore the city.
Yeah.
So, stuff like that. And that's ultimately how they built Astral Chain. So, when you look at Astral Chain, it's like Nintendo's Bayonetta.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
When you actually look at it and you play it and you break it down, you're like, oh, okay. And it's a game that like pulls back on the like absolute violence and stuff too. Mm-hmm. Again, something that's a Nintendo flair, but you know that there's still a very deep, dark story with it. Again, a Nintendo flair.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. So
okay.
I do think that's going to happen. And I think we're probably going to be seeing an Astral Chain 2 soon.
I hope so.
Kamiya and the director of Bayonetta 3 said they are forever indebted to Nintendo, allowing them to be able to get this far with Bayonetta.
Holy shit, okay.
So if them saying that tells me that Nintendo could probably be knocking on their door and be like, hey, we're interested in making an Astral Chain 2. Are you with us? Like, they could take Astral Chain 2 and have anybody make it. Nintendo owns the IP.
Yeah.
But being able to have that leverage for the originators of that game, it'll give them a broader market appeal. Because, like, oh, you got the original creators on it again. We're down.
Yeah.
So, but I do think Bayonetta is reaching its peak performance. We might get it might get even better than that with a Bayonetta 4, but we're not going to see massive growth like we did when Bayonetta became an exclusive to the Wii U.
Yeah.
So, now that that's all said and done, anything else we want to talk about?
No, that should be it. This is a bit of a long
one. Yeah.
For no news.
No news. Let's talk about this shit for an hour. So, I'd like to thank you guys for sticking through this very long one. A little piecemealed a little bit, but we got it done. But thank you guys all for listening. If you like our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our content, and especially share our content. Appreciate you if you did. And we will see you on the other side.